Hello, welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 5. I've decided to use a notebook to share this lesson. I thought I could show things a little better on it. All right, so our target again is I can determine and create equivalent fractions. Being able to create equivalent fractions is a life skill. Not only will you use it in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, through all of your schooling, you will use it actually in your life as well. So we're going to do it today by converting between fractions and mixed numbers. Mixed numbers is a new term to some of you. Mixed number, we need to know what that is. All right, take a look at, we have talked about, or I have talked about before, that all fractions can be written as a sum of unit fractions. A unit fraction is a fraction with 1 as the numerator. 1/4 is a unit fraction because the unit are fourths. All fractions can be written as a sum, meaning adding unit fractions together. In fact, all numbers can be written as the sum of unit fractions. Okay, so how could we show this fraction in a drawing? So we have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. So in a drawing, I would draw my fraction bar and I would partition it into fourths. So there's 1/4, that one, plus 1/4 right here, plus 1/4 right there, and plus 1/4 right there. But now I need to add another fourth. So I'm going to need another whole. That I'm going to have to partition into fourths. And now I can shade in my plus 1/4. And that would be a way that I can show this fraction. Let me see, what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fourths. Another key term that you should know is, what do we call a fraction that looks a little bit different than most fractions? The numerator is greater than the denominator. I have 5 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and the size of the pieces I have are fourths. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4 of them to make a whole. That is called a fraction greater than 1. And look at here, my number is greater than 1. I have 1, and I also have another fourth, so I have greater than 1, and it's a fraction, so it's a fraction greater than 1. Now we're going to take a look at fractions greater than 1 and mixed numbers. In the fraction above, could we circle one whole? How many fourths make a whole? That's right, 4. So I can circle 1, 2, 3, 4 fourths as being one whole. So now I have one whole plus another 1/4. So we still have that fraction left over, right? This right here left over after we get the whole. This leaves us with a mixed number. So what is our mixed number? Well, we had 1. See my little 1 right here. And 1/4. So it ends up equaling 1 and 1/4. 1 for our 4 fourths our whole, 1/4 for the leftover fourth. So what do you think a mixed number means? You're right. A mixed number is a whole number and a fraction combined in one number. It's mixed. It has both a whole number and a fraction. I like to think of mixed nuts. When I buy mixed nuts, it has different kinds of nuts in it. This has a different form of a number in it. It has a whole number and a fraction in it, makes it a mixed number. It's mixed with whole numbers and fractions. So let's take a look at some more. All right. I don't know. So in the fraction above, could we circle one whole? How many thirds make a whole? You're right. 3/3 make a whole. So we can circle 3/3 to make one whole. That's a terrible one, Mr. Springer. Let's make a new one. And now I have I have a third plus a third left over. So how many thirds do we have left? 1/3 plus 1/3 would be 2/3 left over. So now let's write it as a mixed number. We have one whole, and we have 2/3. We have 1, and we have 2/3. 1 and 2/3. So how do we say mixed numbers? If we had 1 plus a 6, we have 1 and 1/6. And I have some made here that I can pull over. 1 and 1/6. 2 plus 7/8 would be 2 and 7/8. Just like with decimals, when we would say our decimal point as and, we say when we go from our whole number to our fraction part, we say and. So 9 plus 2/3 would give us 9 and 2/3. You should be saying these before me. And 5 plus 5 or 7/10 would be 5 and 7/10. So if you need to practice that, I would take a look at, and what do you see? The whole number, the word and then the fraction. Let me see if I can maybe use some different colors to show you this. The whole number, the word and is when we switch to the fraction, and then the fraction. Just like decimals. Whole number and fraction. All right, so more mixed numbers. How would we express the shaded parts as a mixed number? Well, what is shaded here? This is 1/2. This is a half. 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 And this is a shaded half. So, as a mixed number, remember a mixed number is going to have a whole number. Here's 1 whole plus 1 whole plus 1 whole. So our wholes are going to be 1 plus 1 plus 1, or 3, plus Our fraction left over is 1/2. So we have 3 in our wholes, and 1/2 would be our mixed number. Now as a fraction, well, we have 1 whole was 1/2 plus another half 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 plus another half. That gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 halves. Wow, I have 7 halves. What do we call a fraction when the numerator is greater than the denominator? That's called a fraction greater than 1. So here's our mixed number. Here's our fraction greater than 1. They're both representing the shaded amount up here. 3.5 is equivalent to 7 halves. They are both the same thing, aren't they? Let's take a quick review. If I had 1/3 plus 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 1/3. All right. I can circle 3/3 to make a whole. 1, 2, 3/3. Circle another 3/3 to make a whole. 1, 2, not enough thirds to make another whole. So that's how they got 2 wholes. Left over, we had 1, 2/3 left over. If I added it as a fraction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the size pieces are thirds. So here's my fraction greater than 1, 8/3. Mixed number, fraction greater than 1. All right, going on. Changing a mixed number to a fraction. So let's say I start with a mixed number, 2 3/4 pounds of apples are in a basket. Can we change the mixed number into a fraction? How do you think you would do that? All right, so let me just check something quick. So first of all, what do we have? We can decompose our number. 2 wholes is 1 plus 1. Plus, we have another 3/4. So I just decomposed 2 3/4 to be 1 plus 1 plus 3/4. Now, 1 whole is 4/4. Plus, this 1 whole is 4/4. Plus, I have another 3/4. So I would have 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11, and the size pieces would still all be 4s. So there would be a way to change 2 3/4 to a fraction greater than 1. Now, conversion, changing a fraction to a mixed number. Actually, I'm going to come back to this. I just want to see if there's anything on here, under here. I don't think there is. Oh, there is. So there they are, just showing it all the way through. 2 wholes plus 3/4 is 1 whole plus 1 plus 3/4. Each one was 4/4 plus 3/4 gave me 11/4. Now, one thing that you can do it that way. Another thing you can do, we talked about my two wholes, since the denominator tells me how many parts it takes to make a whole, my two wholes times 4 are 8 fourths. See right here? It's how I got these. It's the same as there's two groups of 4 fourths. And then I had to add, so 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. Now I added that to the 3 fourths I already had. 3 plus 8 gave me 11 fourths. So that's a way that you can do it. Take your whole number, multiply by your denominator, because that's how many two wholes multiplied by 4 are 8 fourths, plus how many fourths you also had. Converting, changing fractions to mixed numbers. How do I change 9 fourths to a mixed number? Can we change the fraction into a mixed number? How might we do that? Well, we're just doing the opposite. I'm saying 9, how many fourths make a whole? 4 fourths. So I can take 4 out, would leave me with 5 fourths, plus take another 4 fourths out, would leave me with just 1 fourth left. And now I can combine 4 fourths is 1 whole, plus 4 fourths is 1 whole, plus I have 1 more fourth. So now making my mixed number, I have 1 whole plus 1 whole is 2 wholes, plus another 1 fourth, it would be 2 and 1 fourth. And there it is showing the exact same thing I did. If you've noticed, I subtracted 4 fourths from 9, subtracted 4 fourths from 9, or from 5 fourths then. Repeatedly subtracting the same number is saying how many 4 fourths were in there, right? That's division. I can literally take, and I took the 9 fourths and divided by 4 for 4 fourths to make a whole, and that gave me 2. Then I had 1 fourth left. If you remember, being in division, fractions mean division. 9 divided into groups of 4. Divided by 4. And you can do 9 divided by 4. There's 2 9s in 4. Or 2 4s in 9, sorry, with 1 left over. To make your remainder is your numerator, because it's what's left of my 9, which was my numerator. My 4 is my denominator, because that's what size pieces I've had. Or you can decompose it. All right, that's lesson 5. Good luck with practice 1-5. Any questions, please contact your math teacher.